Bitcoin helps you mix with the Elon Musk of the world easily if their vision align with your vision. Bitcoin distributes its interest accordingly, whether you are poor or rich. If Elon Musk is getting 10%, if Michael Saylor is getting 10%, if United States of America with their SBR is getting 10%, I, Oluwasegun, I'm getting 10%, whether I am awake in the room where they are sharing the money or not. Bitcoin shares its interest accurately for all of us. It is just your size of stack that is different, and it shares it the same time, unlike fiat.
Today, I'm excited to welcome Olu Kosemani to the podcast. Olu is a Nigerian Bitcoiner and founder of Botmecash, a Bitcoin-only exchange, and co-founder of Satoshi's Journal. Welcome to the Bitcoin Edge, Olu.
Thank you very much, top lady Paula. I'm very excited to be here. I'm happy that you have me on the list of top Bitcoiners that you have spoken to. So yes, let's do it.
Great. Well, I'm excited to speak to a Nigerian, and you in particular, because you have a wonderful setup in Nigeria, and I want to hear more about it. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about your Bitcoin journey coming from Nigeria.
Woo! Thank you very much. I'm a Nigerian, and censorship is a part of my experience. I ordinarily think that's how life should be. Before I ever discovered Bitcoin, I didn't know what money was. I would say, just like everybody, just like you, Paula, I was also a shitcoiner, all shitcoiner. And when I say shitcoiner, I don't mean dabbling into altcoins. Wherever you are in the world and you have ever touched on fiat, you're a shitcoiner. And as long as you don't know Bitcoin. So all the biggest Bitcoiners, the ones who have helped educate my world, Max Kaiser and his wife, Stacy, I emulate them from afar and what they're doing in El Salvador. Shout out to them. Andreas Antonopoulos. Mention the Bitcoiners' name. They were all shitcoiners. And as soon as we discovered Bitcoin, life changed. Life changed for me in 2016. I first bought Bitcoin in 2013. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just a money go up technology. And in 2016, I sold it quickly because, I just needed money and it wasn't something I wanted to keep. Volatility here and there. But I was in New York City. I had been censored by Western Union not to send money back home again because I had a clean visa and it was easy for me to help undocumented Nigerians and Africans to send money back home. So I usually have US dollars in my pocket and to send money back home because I was living in Westchester, Mount Vernon, in the Bronx at the time. I would have to travel to Brooklyn to go and give dollar to somebody who has Naira back home. And then they keep the dollar and then they send the Naira back home. Business is so big that sometimes when I get there, I will have to be in line. Even if you drop your US dollar, there are more than 20, 30 people that she needs to disburse their Naira back home. So she's going to tell you have to wait your turn. But then she has your US dollar. That wasn't very good for me because people back home want their money. The people undocumented in America trying to get a survival, or some of the people that are already working on their documentation and also have experienced uncertainties and they cannot go to the city center to send a lot of money. And yeah, so this day I was going to New York Code and Design Academy where I learned code Kickstarter classes on John Street in Manhattan. That was in December. So I think I needed Starbucks or whatever with a couple of my friends. So we ordered an Uber. And then while the Uber was coming, something flashed my eyes. It was a red flag with white paintings. What's that? It looks like a Nigerian bank name. Oh, United Bank of Africa. I was so excited. That's a Nigerian bank in New York. So I looked up. The building is popularly called the Rockefeller Building. So I started connecting it. This must be a money building. So, I prepared myself one day and I went into the building. But unfortunately, what they ran was a Nostros and Vostros account. And it wasn't commercial banking. And I was disappointed. And I've always heard that they have a commercial banking business. Although the bank now have a commercial banking business. So we couldn't send money. Fast forward, I fortunately pitched to the bank and said, look, Now I know how to build fintech services. I've learned some things here in New York. You can use Bitcoin. The bank turned that Bitcoin idea down and they picked on the MasterCard Home Send idea. So MasterCard Home Send is a feature built by MasterCard to help countries move cross-border transactions. So you need an IMTO to be able to do that transaction. IMTO is International Money Transfer Operator license. So you have to be a big bank to have an IMTO, right? And but UBA had an IMTO at the time. So I pitched to them. I told them, look, we can do this. We did the deal. They dropped the Bitcoin idea. But anyway, we couldn't send money back home through UBA. So how did people send money? So obviously people were sending money like the way I was sending money. And you can't send more than 900 plus if you're not in the city center, right? So you have to go to the city center to send more than that, 2,000, 3,000 at Western Union, MoneyGram. And you see some police right there, maybe most likely ready to frisk if you're an African and and they want to really know if you have documentation or not. So you see Africans lobbying around looking for people to help them. And this is a very silent thing that happened, but I don't know if it's still happening now. And so I went back home. I had been censored by Western Union. I can't send money. I have bulk money in my pocket. The Nigerian bank here don't do commercial banking. What do I do? I was very sad. People back home needed their money for feeding, something as simple as feeding, you know, money for, electricity. Power cuts go off and on in Nigeria. You need to support your family if you are outside the country. It's more like a greener pasture for most of us that go outside the country just to help our people back home. And it was becoming very uncomfortable having people's money with me and I can just send the money back home. Someone's father was very sick at the time and they almost lost their life. They eventually lost their life after, although I sent the money. But you know how that can be? You're waiting for money to eat, money to pay for school fees, or money to buy seeds for your small farmland, or pay for somebody's health care. And you have to wait 2, 3 days or even more. You know what I mean? And once you send the money back home, the banks will close once it's 4 p.m. And the person may not be able to get the money. Even if you do a wire transfer, if you don't do it before 12 noon from New York at the time, most likely they would get the money the same day. So I was looking for something that's going to be more effective. I came across Bitcoin. I'm like, I've seen this thing before. Come on, can you use this for remittance services? And I discovered yes. So I immersed myself. And when I came back to Nigeria, I called a few people together and I told them, look, I want to build this thing. But when we looked at it, it was going to be very difficult for us to achieve because we needed an IMTO again. An IMTO in Nigeria at the time would cost about $2 million. It's crazy. And today it still costs that much, if not more than in billions of naira, and our billions is not like Zimbabwe billions. It's our money is bad, but it's not like Zimbabwe one paper billion. It's billions, like billions. It's a lot of money. So it was terrible. The idea quickly shattered because the only way we could do it was to raise funds. Although I had people that were willing to help facilitate fundraise, but COVID-19 pandemic struck and we all had to sit at home and everybody pulled out of the business. Since banks were shut down, no other alternative. These people are highly reputable Nigerians at the time that wanted to support my vision, but everything they know, in the centralized world is shut down. And I was trying to pitch Bitcoin. I said, look, we don't need anything else. We have Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, we can start with that. We can begin to move money over the rails because I've started going into the rabbit hole at the time. But my hopes were shattered. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't raise money, and I was left with myself and my small team. The team they were living in my house at the time. There was nothing like work from home. It wasn't even familiar with me. I heard it the first time, most likely in the pandemic. And wow. And we started researching about Bitcoin and we realized that you can move any amount of money. You don't need, it's not about your color, it's not about your location. And I'm like, I've interacted with Bitcoin over and over. I have some Bitcoin. So I can use Bitcoin beyond just sending to people. I can actually run my own exchange with Bitcoin. So it started occurring to me that all these things that I do, these people don't even have licenses, right, on their exchanges. So I can also do mine. And quickly, we built a small Bitcoin exchange that was sitting on a third party API. and we were running OTC transactions. We did a $10 transaction the first day. I was excited that I could help somebody process $10. I was very excited. And days after that, people started calling us, and people just wanted to send money across borders. Before we now started realizing that it's more about protecting yourself from inflation, censorship, resistance, etc., etc. It's a beautiful thing because I was hands-on, got censored by Western Union, and then couldn't send money back home at the time because Nigerian banks didn't have offshore proper commercial banking at the time, and Bitcoin solved all of that. And I could also beat inflation, and I could protect myself. These were multiple benefits from one alternative that I've never heard before in my life. And I had built a diaspora banking application for United Bank of Africa. I didn't mention that. I'd taken my skill that I learned to build fintech services for the bank with very smart people that I've met in New York and some other part of the world. So we had a very strong resume to boast and say, yes, we know how to build fintech services. And I don't have a financial background. And I found myself in the finance space. I braid my hair, I used to wear earrings, and I'm somehow accepted just because of my skill. Shout out to tech skills. But Bitcoin made me more accepted in the new world. Started meeting different people that had the same type of experience like me. And I'm like, oh, really? And I love how Bitcoiners, just get excited as far back as 5 years ago, 2020, when they talk to you, you see the positive energy of Bitcoiners. And I said, no, it's not just going to be only me. And I decided I was going to teach everybody I know about Bitcoin, whether you are high net worth individual, whether you're middle class, whether you're from the poorest of the poor category. And I remember we were the first ever to train kids from the age of, say, 4 or 5 years old to age 9. Bitcoin education in Africa. You can go check it out. So kids used to come to my house and I would just sit them down, and kids of whatever category. I actually enjoy teaching kids of underprivileged people about Bitcoin. And it's exciting how they grab. They grab so fast, and I love it. The I love the impact it makes live right there when you're educating somebody. You see how curious they get. Unlike fiat, there's no curiosity in fiat, nothing much. People just want to maybe find a way to protect their purchase power, and if possible, get a tiny percentage on the money that is saved. It's a beautiful experience to know that something that's humbling, without any permission, you can just immerse yourself in the education and then begin to change the world around you from young to old. And today, if I sit amidst capital market executive, if I sit amidst top fintech executive, whether you are a astute economist or a politician, when I talk about money, it looks as if I am a professor, and I don't have such background. It's just the immersion in Bitcoin. 1,000+ hours in Bitcoin studying, Bitcoin education. If you're lucky, you can do. If you're the type that is really, really curious, you can do 5,000 hours. If you get to that 5,000 hours, or from 1,000 to 5,000, you would speak better than anybody who is at the topmost level of either IMF, World Bank, whatever. You will know everything about money, and it will look as if you are in the postgraduate level or a master level. And now I teach Bitcoin mastery to executives of banks. Now I teach Bitcoin masteries to people who have done well, to level of my parents, who all their life they know everything about money. Before now, they would have looked at me and said, "What do you know about money?" But now, when they want to get financial education, although I tell them it's not financial education, it's my reality, they call me. When they're even looking for lost funds, they call me for ideas. The only thing you need to succeed in Bitcoin is, number one, you need patience. Number two, integrity. Bitcoin will force the integrity upon you. And it has forced the integrity upon me. It has forced me to be patient. And now my life has changed completely. Enjoying the ride, the pursuit of my happiness in Bitcoin.
So, what's the third one? Patience, integrity, and
Oh yeah, patience, integrity, and time management.
time management. So, have a low time preference.
Of course, you can tell. With all of my experience, high time preference won't work for me. It will work for people who are just coming into the space, right? People who like to gamble their money, try to dabble in multiple things. For me, we have been building an exchange for 5 years and we are not perfect yet. We learn every day. Now we run our own node. Now we process our own transactions. And now we're about to integrate with Lightning, running our own Lightning node too. We are almost at the test phase. I can't wait to unleash what we have to the world. It's a beautiful thing. And now we are making sure that we move with the SEC, the current director general of the SEC, my country. It's like a father to me. And I find myself in the money space just because I'm on Bitcoin doing the right thing. Some years ago, people made a lot of money in fintech. I couldn't because I didn't have an investor. I didn't have a godfather that could raise me with weights of cash. But now you just need the knowledge, you need the capacity. People will bring you into a team or they will try to associate with you. Look at me talking to Paula, who has spoken to some great Bitcoiners just because I'm a Bitcoiner. I'm sure you don't want to talk to me if I'm just a banker. Most likely my knowledge will be nothing to you.
Yeah, no, we love chatting with Bitcoiners. So tell us a little bit more about Nigeria and Bitcoin adoption in Nigeria, because we all know that Nigeria is one of the top 10 countries for crypto adoption. How is Bitcoin adoption in Nigeria?
Beautiful. Undermined by people that read online. Shout out to Chainalysis, but undermined by Chainalysis data too. You need to be boots on ground to learn about it. You need to ask people who are building in the West, Europe, to ask them who are your most website visitors or app download, and you'll be surprised that Nigeria will fit in top 1 to 3 or top 1 to 5. It depends on your region. I was talking to a friend from Europe, and he was like, you can't believe it, that most of their visitors and users are coming from Nigeria. They would like to, find a way to get into Nigeria. And I advise people come through the front door. If you're my friend, don't come through the back door, right? Bitcoin need no license, need nothing. But if you run a proper company, you need at least some level of regulation. First, community regulation, which is BTC, then your self-regulation, which is your exchange, right? And then, of course, the government regulation, which is the front door via SEC. Bitcoiners don't like that, but those are unrealistic Bitcoiners. Self custody is wonderful. Not your keys, not your coin. Hallelujah. But if you really want to play ball on a large scale, you want to be a Michael Saylor, you want of MicroStrategy, you want to be a Brian Armstrong of Coinbase, you want Donald Trump to be able to invite you to a meeting, maybe my own country president and or other type of persons, you should be able to submit yourself to scrutiny and due diligence and AML and terrorism financing and counterterrorism financing type of checks. So if you're not ready to do that, you're not ready to build for the world. I am building for the world. 220 million people in Nigeria. The World Bank says by 2050, United Nations and World Bank say we will be about 500 million people. Today, I think we're already 250 million people because we haven't renewed our census for some years, almost a decade. Largely, 25 to 80% of that number are young people between the age of 18 to 35 or 45 downwards. So it's a very active country. Read a lot online and you will hear, so you will understand so many things. But if you're not here back home, you won't know how we moved from just 100 and say, well, from just 200 to 300 naira per dollar in 5 years ago or 7 years ago to almost 2,000 naira per dollar today, about 1,500. You would be surprised that an iPhone like this that used to cost maybe like 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 naira in Nigeria now costs 1.5 million, 2 million naira. It's a crazy amount, right? And I tell people this inflation is not just in Nigeria, it's all over the world, even in the US. Back home here, we don't have stable power. I pay for my own electricity. You have to make sure you have your own. Of course, you must pay for your electricity, but then you basically just install your own electricity. When you get a land, you clear your land by yourself. You fix the road. You have to open the road of the land. And then you fix your own water. You fix your own power generation. You do everything for yourself in Nigeria, practically everything. So a young Nigerian is an all-rounder entrepreneur who may not have experienced real money, hard money before. The pain we experience is beyond I want to live good and fly around the world. It's just basic things like good food to eat, good healthcare, access to proper healthcare, access to proper education system. Young people want to learn so much. There is no proper educational structure for them to learn what will help take their life to the next level, develop their human capital. But we are very smart people in Nigeria. You hear how I talk. I'm educated. And we have lots of people like me that don't even have the opportunities that I have, but they're excelling. So I tell people it's not about going to school, right? Literacy and education have different meanings. It depends on how you see it.
And now we've got the internet. We can get a good education just watching YouTube. Like you
Worldwide.
said, a
Yes.
Bitcoin education is a different education. But what I want to get to, and I do notice this is a big thing and a big difference between African countries and the US, where you're talking about getting to your basic needs. And a lot of people, not you in particular, but many people in African countries just don't even have regular power and running water. So for them, survival is a big issue. Once you've got the running water and power and food and a roof over your head, then you can think about Bitcoin.
Yes.
So I want to know, how do you get people to where they can actually think about Bitcoin if they don't have those other things in place?
Thank you very much. When you are a product of my kind of environment and experience, most likely you have no option. It's inevitable for you to pay attention to whatever sound like Bitcoin. So most likely you would also shitcoin, except you find somebody to teach you what Bitcoin is. That's what I missed in 2013. They didn't teach me what Bitcoin was. I was just told to buy something. That earn less than, for example, minimum wage is 30,000 naira, has just been increased to 70,000 naira. If you look at when it was 30,000 naira, it was about $200 in terms of purchase power parity to the US or other places in the world. Not exactly parity, I'm just trying to use that word, or comparison. But just 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, minimum wage have now been increased to 70,000 naira. Although the government officials are not paying, but 70,000 naira today is worth about just $40 in Nigeria. Multiply $1 by 1,550. 70,000 you divided by 1,550, you get $45. That's what you get.
So
45.
45 US dollar per
It's,
month
it's the
is,
minimum wage in Nigeria for anybody who is, and I mean people who went to school. Some are working in banks and they pay them just a little bit above minimum wage. So even if you earn as much as 200,000 naira in Nigeria per month, 200,000 naira, right? Divided by the exchange rate today, to $1, divided by 150, $129, you're still poor. You're still very poor.
and also your money, the Naira continues to lose value to the US dollar.
If you leave that naira in the bank, you are in trouble. That's a gunpowder to your life. It's a gun to your head, leaving that money in the bank. I have built for a bank. I've seen one of the biggest banks in Africa, their code base. I've worked from downstairs to the highest level of the rise. I've sat down with the owner of the bank. I've had opportunity with the top directors. And just because of my capacity, the bank is not the right place to keep your money. I'm so sorry to say, right? Unfortunately, but that's the fact. And all banks will adopt Bitcoin. Let's put that aside. So, what do you want to do with 70,000 naira? Bread. Bread that you eat is now 2,500 naira. If you buy water, A sachet of pure water is 50 naira today. Most likely will be 100 naira before December. Bottled water is like 200, 500, 3,000. It depends on the places. Clothing, power, paying for internet data, and a few other things. Most likely, you may not be able to save more than maybe that takes another 25,000 naira. You have 18,000 naira. How much is 18,000 naira in the US dollar? 18,000 naira divided by 1,550. God help you, you see it for that exchange rate. Is $11. What can you do with $11 worldwide today? A Nigerian living standard is in some areas is almost the same thing with the US. You will be shocked. In some areas, it's affordable. So for anybody earning the minimum wage, they are under the poverty level. Even if you're earning twice of the minimum wage, you are under the poverty level. Even if you are earning 4x under the minimum wage, you are still going to be struggling. Most likely, you will not be able to live in a posh area. You would have to, try to live in an area where your money can make you feel like a king a little bit.
And that's why I asked the question. I know that the majority of people cannot, after they pay their rent, their food, and their general expenses, don't have anything extra to save. So, how do we get to Bitcoin? We first have to find a way to make extra money so that we can then save in Bitcoin.
You know what? You know what's funny? You know what's funny? It's funny because Nigerians don't mind. What they want to hear is what is the solution. Once they hear
Okay.
that Bitcoin does this, that, there are five questions that I ask them in Nigeria. I ask, do you like what your bank is doing to you? All Nigerians will tell you no. Even an ex-president, a current governor will tell you, I don't like the banks. Second
Right.
question is, are you experiencing inflation? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The third question is, do you like the incessant charges of the financial institution? Oh, no, I don't like the incessant charge. Okay, would you like an opportunity to make your money go up if possible? Oh, it's not possible. Money don't go up in Nigeria. How about money policy rates? Do you like what you get? I don't want to go and loan money. If I loan money, I may not be able to pay back. It's 27 to 30, 25%. So once I ask all this question, I tell them, have you heard of the word Bitcoin? They're curious. I tell them Bitcoin is none of this. It's instant orange peeling for me. Almost everybody that I've presented that format to, because they experience all of this, rich or poor. And it's sad because people earn that low and they still survive. Largely, lots of Nigerians are very good people. There's no opportunity to even do two, three jobs, except you have social digital skills that can make you do two, three jobs. So young people are even living way better than baby boomers, right? I mean, millennials and Generation Zs are living way better than the baby boomers because the internet is our age mates and we can really survive in the internet era. The Gen Zers are lucky because the internet is their senior and I've almost done most of the things for them. They just come and tap into it. So I tell people, I say, look, we are battered by the poor economic situation of Nigeria based on the choices of our leaders. And I don't blame the leaders. I blame us who don't hold them responsible because we have been divided across tribal lines, religious lines, and they intentionally invest in that to impoverish us, to distract us from what is true. So every Nigerian that I have experienced that have money in their pockets and is going through this, if I tell them, look, how much does the banks or the fintech companies give you in terms of interest when you save with them? They say, oh, 5, 10%. Some even are lucky. They say, oh, they give me 15, 20% in my bank. I show them what the inflation rate of the country is. It was 35%, got rebased a few weeks ago, 24%. Rebased inflation is not reduced inflation. So rebased inflation is basically recalculating the indices, the CPIs that makes up inflation itself. And the government is very tactical. This current government, shout out to our president, very tactical political man. You know what they did? He came in and said, look, the previous president is from my party, and most likely I wouldn't want to take responsibility for his woes. So what I would do is I have spent almost 2 years here. I will rebase inflation from 35%. I'll call it 24%. I will use the previous year as my base year, and the reference year will be the previous 2 years. So 2023 is the reference year, 2024 is the base year, 2025 is the year where inflation has been rebased to 24%. And they plan to reduce inflation by 15% from the budget of hope, 54 trillion naira budget. That's about almost 40 billion naira. No, about 30 something billion dollars for the budget. Now, how would you reduce 15% from inflation today? But you know what they do? They started saying we've reduced inflation by 1%. This is March. By the end of the year, 1%, March, April, May, June, July, August, 1%, 1%, 1%. And next year will most likely be election campaign year. They will tell you, oh, inflation is now 7%. And you would not know they're working with a rebased inflation. You would think they are truly reducing inflation. But don't believe what they say. Don't believe the well documented work. Go out there and price bottled water. Go out there and try to cut your hair. Go out there and try to eat and try to take transportation from one place to another. Most likely you will not be able to survive. That's why you see the digital economy is increasing. And the government is even trying to tax this non-oil sector because it looks like it's contributing the most to our GDP. And they don't realize that it's because of the economic woes that people are running to the digital sector. I can't be waking up and spend all of my money on transportation on a bad road in the first place. You get money to fix the road, you don't fix the road is bad. I spend hours dissipating my energy on the road, and then transportation is costly. By the time I get to work, I can't really be productive. And the little that I get productive over and get paid at the end of the month, the money has lost so much value. So I need to put my money in something. I bet you, whether you're poor, middle class, or very wealthy, if I sit in front of you and tell you about Bitcoin, most likely you are buying Bitcoin for yourself instantly because I'm letting you know. Look, I walk away from riches and power. If you like, you listen to my truth or not. So I educate you arrogantly with confidence. I let you know that, look, I don't care about your wealth. I'm telling you the truth. You will lose value. In 2022, 100+ million Naira in the bank became useless by 2025 January. Somebody had 150 million Naira in the bank, and another family sold their land to buy just 2 Bitcoin. So 2 Bitcoin in 2022 in Nigeria, 1 Bitcoin was 16,700. Obviously, how much was our exchange rate? I'll do the maths for you again. This is reality. Exchange rate, 1 Bitcoin was $17,000, right? I like too much zeros. $17,000 in 2022 in the bear market after the
Yeah, after the
FTX
crash.
saga.
Right.
Yeah. Multiply this by the exchange rate at the time. Exchange rate at the time was about, say, worse 600, right? Times 600, 10.2 million, right? And this is the nominal price. This is what the nominal price, not the real price. You need to adjust. So 10, a family that I know bought 2 Bitcoin at 10.2 million multiplied by 2, that's 20.4 million. Now,
But that's
100,
still a better move than keeping the land.
oh, hold
Right.
on, hold on, Paula. 150 million
Right.
minus 20.4 million is 129 million difference. So you are still 129 million richer than the person who bought Bitcoin in 2022, right? Now, that 150 million in the bank today, what's the value? So your 150 million in the bank today, 150 million in the bank today, you divide this by the current exchange rate, 150 is $96,000. Today, the 2 Bitcoin bought with 20.4 million Naira of a poor family that sold their entire land. This family, I orange pilled them. So what they did, the son said, my dying mother, I don't want you to die like this. You need to sign this paper. Let's sell this land. We sell the other land and we buy Bitcoin for our family. What we would do is we'll go through the pains for 4 years. Olu said 4 years. And it was difficult for them, but they did. Today, 2 Bitcoin. How much is 1 Bitcoin in Nigeria today? Or 1 Bitcoin worldwide? What's the nominal price of Bitcoin? The nominal price of Bitcoin right now, as we speak, is at say $88,000, right? Okay. So $88,000. I'll do the maths for you again. $88,000 multiplied by 2 equals to $176,000, right? Already it beats the $96,000 that the $150 million man has. Now, multiply this, right? This multiply this by our exchange rate 150. 272 million naira. So the family who sold their land are 272 million naira richer. The other man is now worth $97,000. $97,000 multiplied by 150 is 150 million. So that person still have their 150 million
Right.
worth nothing with bank incessant charges.
Right. Well, so we know this. We know that if you buy Bitcoin over the long term, you are going to beat all other assets. But my question for
Wealth
you
is
though,
moving. Wealth is being transferred from the poorest of the poor, from the richest of the
wonderful.
rich to the poor. That's
I
what
love
Bitcoin is
it.
doing for
I
us.
love it.
Yes.
And that's a huge move because land is so valuable to most people and land holds its value a little better than I'm sure the Naira and even the US dollar. But to get somebody to sell their land and buy Bitcoin, that's huge. You
I'll
must
tell
be a
you my
master orange
experience.
piller.
It's a terrible thing. I invested a lot in lands, way before my final orange pilling year, and then going into Bitcoin business in 2020. My friend and partner at Satoshi's Journal is a civil engineer, Jeremy Garcia, and he started telling me about how real estate is useless. Today, Paula, I have lands that if I sell can help me buy multiple Bitcoin. I've not been able to sell one plot. To sell one plot, the stress is too much. They have to go for sightseeing, and when they get there, somebody will start to complain. Oh, there's no road part here. There's this, there's that. It's just too much verification. Or bring this document, bring that document. Oh, we'll pay today. Oh, my auntie wants to see the land before I pay. Oh, my cousin said she has to do a video. You have to do a drone view. It's stressful. I have hectares of land that I've not been able to sell as small as one plot. It's difficult. But what I've invested in Bitcoin, if I want to spend out of my Bitcoin stack, tiny amount I quickly spend, I'm okay. If I want to buy BTC, although it is harder to buy Bitcoin than to spend Bitcoin, but I can still find Bitcoin to buy in Nigeria over the counter as long as you have the money. So it's real estate and BTC will wake Nigerians up much later. They still prefer real estate to BTC to a certain extent because the real estate guys are wealthy and they have money to throw away. As a Bitcoiner, you're not going to be throwing money away. I'm not an altcoiner. I'm not a shitcoiner. I'm not doing airdrop for nobody. No, I'm not going to give you free money. I'm just going to tell you my truth. So you think I'm stingy. So people say, Bitcoiners who are wealthy, they are very stingy people. Who's going to give you their sats? One sat of Bitcoin is now bigger than the Nigerian Naira. So how you want me to be throwing away my money that I know that is worth more than everything that I'm going to be giving to you, and I can watch it grow in your hands, and most likely you will not hold it, you will sell it to somebody else because you still need the Nigerian naira anyway. So real estate is not I'm sorry to say to all real estate investors, except you back it by Bitcoin, it's not something to write home about for me and for a lot of people that are now opening their eyes. But it's going to be worse. People will learn that pretty soon.
So on that note, tell us how Bitcoin has changed you.
Tremendously. Teaching kids Bitcoin. If I bring my daughter here and ask her what is Bitcoin without planning it with her, you'll be surprised what she would say. She would say Bitcoin is money, right? Diamond, go and wear your shirt and come here. Go wear your top and come here, right?
Yeah, let's see your daughter. That would
Yeah,
be awesome.
yeah, and you will hear how she would say Bitcoin is money instantly. I teach her Bitcoin, and she's just 3 years old. She just clocked three about a few weeks ago. Yes, less than. Bitcoin has completely changed my life. Look at my skin. I live very well, and I don't spend frivolously. I used to be able to be crazy with fiat, but now Bitcoin has taught me to be very prudent, to be accountable, and there is a level of sincerity of purpose Bitcoin will drive you towards. It builds that willingness to succeed inside of you. It helps you intentionally want to continue to increase your human capital. You want to always take yourself to the next level so you can earn and stack more Bitcoin if you really, really have gone into the rabbit hole. Bitcoin has given me the opportunity to sit with an ex-president that I had the opportunity to work with, but I never had the opportunity to speak with while I was working with him. Years after he left the presidency, Bitcoin gave me the opportunity to become his son. And because I was able to orange pill him, and he was asking me, where were you when I was the president? I said, I was working under you, but I didn't have access to you. There were bigger people. I was just another slave, just working in government. Not directly in government. We were being paid by UKDFID anyways. It was an arrangement that maybe the president didn't even know I was working with him. And today I have such person on my contact list. I sometimes I get the opportunity to sit in front of past governors, incumbent governors, senators, high net worth individuals, and and they give me their phone number. These are people you may not be able to reach ordinarily. Before you reach them, different people will gateway you. Look at me, having I can just call and put on the call right now, the Director General of our SEC. Today, I have direct access and I've been connecting people for good to our own, not Gary Gensler because they like him here, our own SEC Director General. I'm a Bitcoiner telling people, come through the front door to do business in Nigeria. I have direct access to sons of governors. I'm not from a wealthy background, but I'm from an okay background. I have experienced poverty too from my father's side, right? My mother's side, God bless their family. And of course, most of them live in America, including my mother. But I know what poverty is, right? I've experienced poverty so much. And I can tell you the difference between being rich in fiat and being okay in Bitcoin. When you're okay in Bitcoin, it's more than the happiness of the wealth you acquire in fiat. Bitcoin has positioned me to have access to people that I may not have ever have access to. Or even if I would, I may have need some things like I don't have a master degree, I don't have PhD, I didn't go to Harvard, but I do things that people that have thought such certs do. Today, I can just send text message to the Director General of the SEC of my country and say, "Sir, this is what I think." And it will say, "Okay, my boy, I'll do my own research about it." With no third party. I don't have to write any letter. Thank God for Bitcoin. Today, I can send messages to ex-governors, about two of them. I can send messages to an incumbent governor and they will reply my message in between 24 hours. Bitcoin will also help you learn how to not ask anybody for anything. And these people, one thing about wealthy people, don't ask them for money. Don't ask wealthy people for money. They're going to run away from you. Just create value and let them see that you can walk away from the comfort around them all the time or anytime. You will be surprised how wealthy people will chase after you. And that's what Bitcoin has done for me. And I'm telling everybody that I know that Bitcoin will do the same thing for you. For example, I go on spaces, I get the opportunity to talk to the likes of Gary Cardone, the twin brother of Grant Cardone. If it wasn't for Bitcoin spaces, I may not be able to. I was online one day and somebody tweeted about me, and I realized it's Jeff Booth. I'm like, what? Maybe he listened to me in one space. I was on a space, he was speaking, I got the opportunity to speak about Nigeria, and he said, "This young Nigerian, Olu, is not priced in." I'm looking for that tweet because I'm supposed to frame it. I can't find the tweet. And CZ of Binance followed me because of Bitcoin. Although he unfollowed me when I started campaigning and say, "Oh, Binance has multiple validators, yada yada yada. They sell shit coins." I mean, so he started unfollowing. He unfollows people that are not pro Binance. I'm Bitcoin only. I'm not pro Binance. But I like CZ as a person. But Bitcoin helps you mix with the Elon Musk of the world easily if their vision align with your vision. You know what I mean? Bitcoin distributes its interest accordingly, whether you are poor or rich. If Elon Musk is getting 10%, if Michael Saylor is getting 10%, if United States of America with their SBR is getting 10%, I, Oluwasegun, I'm getting 10%, whether I am awake in the room where they are sharing the money or not. Bitcoin shares its interest accurately for all of us. It is just your size of stack that is different. And it shares it the same time. Unlike fiat, they're going to look at the list of names first. Who is your father in Nigeria? First of all, before they even give you interest, before they even give you any opportunity. Bitcoin is not like that. I can download the Bitcoin core and begin to run transactions. Young chaps in Nigeria, 21 years old, 19 years old, 25 years old, have changed their economic trajectory because of Bitcoin peer-to-peer transactions, such that the government of the country had to start chasing Binance and chasing so many other exchanges and saying, "Oh my God, you're doing money transmitter businesses in Nigeria illegally." But what is happening is those platforms are enabling the skill sets that has now been acquired via Bitcoin. Bitcoin develops your skill set. When I say human capital development that Bitcoin profiles is unquantifiable to what fiat profiles, I truly mean it because firstly, it teaches everybody about money. In fiat, you have to go to finance class to learn about money. Or maybe what you learn about money in fiat is going to be completely wrong. It's completely wrong. I sit down with bankers. If I walk into any bank and I want to go and do a transaction, it's like a professor has walked in. I walk in, I start to tell all of them, hey, very soon you're going to live here and you work in a Bitcoin company. You hear them say, in Jesus' name I pray, amen. I pray it comes to pass. Because they don't even have time to immerse themselves in education. They wake up 6 a.m., they're on the road, they get to the bank by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, they're already at the counter trying to do their work. They close by 5 p.m., 6, 7, 8 on the road again. Boom, they have to sleep and come back and do it every day. They don't have time to study. They don't have time to increase their education. But you know what Bitcoin does for you? Every second, it sends you new clips of videos, new research paper, new educational work. You can become a Bitcoin developer and build bank by yourself between 1 year. Just immerse yourself in the studies. Now I am one of the most reputable exchanges in Nigeria, even at my very small level, even though I don't have investors yet, even though I'm looking for partners. But I have a bank that cannot be censored. I have a bank that don't need Swift rails. I don't need Swifts. I can move, I can do transactions with anybody. If the United States of America keep their SBR and don't ever spend it, it's useless until they move it over the network. So the network is the net worth for me. Even if Bitcoin goes to zero, you can still move value in its billions on that zero price over the network. Fantastic. Fantastic. So I don't know how else to explain this. I am very excited. Around me, you will find more than 2, 3 nodes. And I have my own hardware. It feels good. It feels so good that I can go to the Bitcoin blockchain, the original blockchain time chain, and see all the transactions. I don't care who owned them. I say don't steal with Bitcoin because you're going to get caught, especially if you exchange to fiat. Once you mix, if you try to rob with Bitcoin and you mix it with fiat, you're going to get caught finally. Except you keep it right there in BTC, yes, then it might be difficult to find you. But the test of your integrity will be measured at how you treat Bitcoin, and quickly Bitcoin can expose you. Look at exchange founders that have tried to do something shady. Bitcoin will expose you quickly. You can't spend people's Bitcoin when you're running an exchange business. You are in trouble. You will become a scammer. You become an SBF real quick. You can do that with fiat. People can keep fiat with you and you can quickly borrow it out. No, you cannot do that with Bitcoin. Your life will be in danger because what if it bulls in your hand? You're in trouble. We can wake up tomorrow and Bitcoin is going to be 700,000. This thesis will be correct. I repeat, not Michael Saylor's thesis. Nobody's thesis will be correct. It will supercharge and surprise all of us. If by 2140 there will be one SAT for people to mine, what will VEA BTC, Foundry USA, Finance Pool, SEC Pool, what will they mine? Thousands of people mining all over the world. That one SAT, how much do you think that one SAT will be by 2140? So everybody is getting the price of Bitcoin wrong. One SAT by 2140 will be competed. Thousands of people will compete to mine one SAT, if not millions of people. Nations will compete. I think planets will compete. Maybe by then, people would have started living in Mars. Shout out to Elon Musk. So one SAT may end up being like, maybe by then, maybe like $200 million. Because I don't think people will turn off their mining pools, mining factories, because, oh, it's one SAT. Oh, no, 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 we're not competing for one SAT. It's going to be a game of being dead or alive. If possible, people will change the hands of time for that purpose. People will fight each other. People will blow up mining infrastructure. You would see countries will get into war with other countries to intentionally mess up their mining infrastructure because that's going to be the nuclear power of the future.
Do you see that one day the whole world will be using Bitcoin?
The whole world is already using Bitcoin. You are just late to it.
Right.
I'll tell you
Right.
something.
Well, they
The
are.
US dollar don't
But,
go everywhere.
but we're not all using it as a unit of exchange yet.
Yeah, yeah, but that's to the understanding of individual. That's how individuals see it. Today in Nigeria, I could buy clothes, I could buy tea, I could buy a car, I could buy a house with Bitcoin. It depends on who you're dealing with. And it depends on how you are able to negotiate. Look, if I want to transact with you with Bitcoin and you don't have Bitcoin or you don't have the knowledge, I'll educate you right away. I'll pay you, I'll board you, show you how to do it, and then I convert to cash for you. And I'll tell you, don't worry, just keep the transaction history and check it every now and then. See how the money breathes. One day you will call me and say, oh my God, I wish I left that entire money in BTC. So I don't really care how the world feels. Whether, oh, you don't spend Bitcoin every day for tea, they don't spend it every day for data. That's a lie. In Nigeria, here, there are exchanges that have built systems whereby you'll be able to use Bitcoin to buy data. You'll be able to use Bitcoin to pay for bills. Yes, we already have that UI UX designed. It's just, I'm the one funding my business, so it's not easy to just be rolling out features like that. And of course, I want to be SEC compliant now that, I can't be close to the SEC DG and do things that are not compliant. But of course, my business has not stopped yet. So if you like, you accelerate yourself in the Bitcoin, hyper Bitcoinized world. If you like, you stand behind. You are on your own. Some people have Bitcoin, they don't know that 100 million Satoshis makes one BTC. You think you have Bitcoin when you have 50 million Satoshis. Some people don't even know what Satoshis are. They don't even know how to calculate it. Some people go to the main pool, they see 2 sats per VByte. Average segwit size of 140. They don't know what that means. But I know what it means. I feel empowered. So I could do business with anybody, even sanctioned world. I could do business with a good person in a sanctioned world. Not everybody in Iran are bad. So there might be somebody who would need help just for drinking water or for healthcare. I can send money over there. The US dollar Swift will not let me do that. Shout out to the US dollar. It will not let me do that. I won't be able to do business with somebody from maybe US sanctioned nations. Now the US is going visa ban on a travel ban on multiple African countries. And people in those countries are reaping the evil done by their leaders, not by them in particular, which means that dollar will be difficult to flow into those countries because when people are able to travel to diaspora, go to the US, they get better education, they get better work, they earn better, they send money back home for good. But then reduced population will now start to travel to the US. And once there's travel ban, there most likely will be friction in almost everything, even the transaction rails. So if you depend on US dollar transaction rails, you're in trouble in those countries. Luckily for Nigeria, we don't fall into that category. How will you transact with people in those countries? But I can do that. I can transact with people in those countries with Bitcoin. I don't even care how you feel all over there. I will just outline the instructions for you and say, look, listen, follow my instructions if you want to get the best money. If you need money for survival, if you need money for your proposed ideas and somebody's offering you what works, you will go through it. People go through this stress for shitcoin. Why won't they do it for Bitcoin? So if you like, you can say they don't use Bitcoin as much yet. That's your cup of tea. That's how you feel, not your caucus, not your circle. You don't understand. You are not living on the soil where it's that important. Satoshi may be white, it may be black, but we feel that Satoshi built Bitcoin for us. My dream is to stack as much as possible, but then I don't have to stack as much as Michael Saylor to be happy. I'm happy that today I can keep 50,000 sats and my daughter Diamond, who I couldn't name Bitcoin because the mother won't let me. So I named that Diamond.
Diamond, tell me about Bitcoin.
What is Bitcoin? Don't be
Now
shy.
she's a
Say
bit
it.
shy.
Yeah.
Diamond, you are
What?
so cute. I love your hair.
Thank you. Yeah. Is Bitcoin
Yeah.
money? Huh? What is Bitcoin? You hear that? Bitcoin is money. She's my world. She's my only child, and I wanted to name her Bitcoin, but the mom wouldn't let me, so I named her Diamond.
Well,
And
that's
I
a
was on the
beautiful name.
spaces. I was on the spaces when the mother conceived her. I was doing the spaces. I was driving straight to the hospital, and yeah, some Bitcoiners already know her. Will be happy in future and say my daddy left 50,000 sats for me. One sat maybe then. I mean, Diamond is 3 years now. In 25 years, when she will be 28 years, one sat maybe nothing less than $500,000. You will be surprised. Bitcoin has already ridiculed the US dollar. So for me, it's not about the US dollar any longer. I know what the US dollar is to my country's money. I don't know why the US are not carrying placard on the street. All US citizens should say they should be anti what is going on now. So what do you want us to do in Nigeria? Go and die when we already know that the US dollar has battered our currency? So we will move to the alternative naturally. Naturally. If the US citizens are not crying over their own battered money, because $1 could buy thousands of Bitcoin some years ago. Yeah, thousands of Bitcoin some years ago. And very soon, one Bitcoin is going to be worth $1 million. And the US citizens most likely will not be on the streets. I'm already smart. I can say it. I'm not chasing the US dollar anymore. What I'm chasing is sats. So Bitcoin has completely changed my world, changed my time preference, changed the way I see integrity, changed the way I relate with people, changed the way I speak with people. I wake up every day of my life and do Bitcoin space, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Whether you're 20 people in the room, whether we are 400 people in the room, I educate people. I am also the convener of the first and the largest women Bitcoin gathering in Africa. It's called Nigerian Women Bitcoiners. I've had the idea for many years, but because I'm a man, I couldn't do it successfully. I tried to orange pill women here and there, but it's easy to turn a woman into a shitcoiner because when you orange pill them, you just give them a tiny amount of sats or you don't give them at all. They won't take you seriously as much. When somebody comes with one particular network and throws them airdrop of $1,000, ooh, they're gonna run out of all the education. But guess what? If you educate a man, you educate an individual. If you educate a woman, you educate a nation. So now, in 10 days, when we started, we were able to get an influencer young lady, and she influenced the announcement of Nigerian Women Bitcoin Education Community. And we got about 1,000 women. We've pruned them to almost 700 now as I speak. You can go to one of the websites that I sent to you and look for initiatives and go under there and click the Nigerian Women Bitcoiners. And you will see there about almost 1,000 women learning about Bitcoin. And I'm so glad. But, I'm still looking for what we're trying to do is train them so they become trainers themselves. And 500 women understanding Bitcoin in Nigeria means about 5,000 women in another 1 year. The plan is to scale it up to 2,000. And I'm using this opportunity to tell you, Paula, if you don't mind, to be part of the mentors for these young, smart ladies from all over the world, but of Nigerian descent. Some of them are Africans, and we're going to be certifying them. Shout out to other Africans that are doing stuff like that. There's a young lady, myself, Bitcoin Data. She's doing well. But these are ladies in Nigeria in one group, about almost 1,000. So I said they're the largest gathering in one place. You will be happy to hear their stories, and they'll be happy to talk to you too. These are young women and adults that are looking for exit strategy. Some of them have kids, some of them are still in school, some of them are doing trades, and life is difficult. So when they hear about this Bitcoin thing, the only competition they have is between them and their time. The time preference is that's the only competition. That's the problem. So I'm doing that. I'm excited. I'm teaching kids Bitcoin. I'm excited. I'm building a Bitcoin village in Nigeria. There's going to be a school. There's going to be a hotel. There's going to be a place for mining. There's going to be a place where people like yourself can come in a rural environment and teach people. It's more like a circular economy. I'm doing lots of things. Bitcoin is bringing my ideas to life without raising funds. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
I love it.
Although it can be tough, but there is this pursuit of happiness. When there's this satisfaction you get when you're pursuing something that makes you happy. Knowing fully well that every sat you invest here will germinate, whether you water it or not, whether you try to weed it out or not. It will fight its battle and germinate and rear its head above every other plant there. When you
I
get
love it.
you get to that, trust me, it will be difficult to come out. So I don't
I
know
love it.
how else to express it, but Bitcoin is my world.
I can feel it. I love your passion. I love that you, as a man, are helping women. And absolutely what you said is so true. You educate women, you're educating a lot of people because they pass it on to their kids. And that is a wonderful, wonderful mission that you're on. And we'll chat again. I really enjoyed chatting with you and hearing your stories. I'll post links to everything that you're working on below. So thank you so much for joining me today.
I want to use the opportunity to invite you to Nigeria in December. We're going to be having the second edition of the Bitcoin conference. It's called the Niger Bitcoin Conference. In December, it's different from the other Bitcoin conference that they take around Africa, right? Shout out to the organizers of that. But this is strictly for Nigeria, the most populous black nation on earth, and it's going to be happening in the city of aquatic splendor, Lagos. Have this vibe of Miami and New York. So if you come here, come enjoy the food, come enjoy the tradition and culture. Thank you very much for having me on your interview. I'm sure there are lots of things we couldn't talk about, but I really, really do appreciate the work that you're doing, and I'm glad that I've been able to write my name in the positive book of history with you on top of it.
Thank you.